Hello and welcome to the first Tony Talk for 2026. We are in the first week of January and almost at the end of the 12 days of Christmas. So I'm still wearing my Chrissy t-shirt and I use this extended season to send Christmas greetings beyond the commercial practice of dropping everything on Boxing Day. So welcome to this foray into the past 12 months of my life, highlights, learnings, and some key moments that I'd like to share with you. So let's have a look at what I got up to in the last 12 months. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the First Nations peoples, the Yagara and Turrbal peoples, custodians of the land on which I live and work here in Meanjin, known as Brisbane. I also make public my commitment to the Uluru Statement from the Heart and my commitment to voice, treaty and truth with First Nations peoples. I always begin this reflection by looking back at significant public figures and personal friends who have passed away in the last 12 months. In the public realm, there's certainly Pope Francis, who brought a groundbreaking awareness of cosmic theology, of integral ecology to our faith and our commitment to kinship with the earth. Father Brian Gore, a Columban priest and missionary in the Philippines, whose solidarity with the workers in Negros saw him in prison during the Marcos era, a great writer and advocate for workers' rights. And Walter Brueggemann was a scripture scholar whose works have always inspired me, particularly his work on the Psalms, a brilliant writer and theologian. John Campbell is the man on the right of that photo of myself with Brett and John. John was the state president of the St. Vincent de Paul Society in Queensland for a number of years, a visionary, a man of integrity and passion who really took the society out into the streets to its commitment to vulnerable people, which has been its heritage and history, but John made us really particular commitment to Vinnies and their work. Philip Brady, media personality, part of my introduction to television, watching black and white TV back in my childhood days and learning the art of comedy from people like Philip Brady. Next to him, a memorial portrait of Charlie. Charlie was our window cleaner in the West End. And Charlie and I had an ongoing friendly banter because he barracked for Essendon and I barracked for Geelong. Charlie passed away this year just before he was due to return to Melbourne, which was his great dream, to go back home to where he'd come from. Sadly, he passed before that happened. Paul Yarrow from Peter, Paul and Mary, their music, their lyrics, their songs inspired so much of my commitment to community singing and to justice awareness long before I knew anything about Catholic social teachings. It was the music of Bob Dylan and Peter, Paul and Mary and those musicians that stirred my passion and my imagination about community justice. Now, throw in Bill McMaster again. I've made reference to my Geelong connection. And as I get older, I connect more with those memories, those formative years in Geelong, and also that tribal connection to Geelong Footy Club through the highs and the lows with the heroes of the era. Bill McMaster, one of the greats of the team, who passed away this year. And Ted Egan, that's my photograph of Ted. I had the honour of meeting him some years ago when I was in Alice Springs. Ted Egan was true blue Aussie, committed to solidarity with those people in the Northern Territory who he loved and supported so well. Again, if you don't know much about Ted, I suggest you have a look at his life. Two women that passed away through the year that were important to me. Sister Hildegard Ryan from the Jamberoo Benedictine Monastery. Hildegard wrote well, was an inspirational woman. And next to her is a portrait of Joanna Macy. Joanna Macy was a writer, activist. I carry one of her texts with me, Achieving Hope. It's about empowerment for social change. And again, if you're not familiar with the works of Joanna Macy, I invite you to look it up online, her writings and the wisdom from her depth of understanding of Buddhism is really inspiring and encouraging. It's about making connection with each other. And she also works so powerfully in promoting environmental awareness. Kat Walsh, an Australian human rights activist, passed away in the last week. Kat had a significant role in the struggle for independence in Timor-Leste. He was a writer, an activist, an educator, a great loss to our community, but a legacy that hopefully will inspire a new generation of human rights activists. Uncle Des Sandy, he was buried from the church across the road from where I'm living. Over many years, I took photos of Des, and it was a real honour to share some memories at his funeral service. Des had a wonderful way of doing Welcome to Country where he encouraged everyone to shout out where they were from. He always encouraged people to be aware they were just friends that hadn't yet met. A wonderful commitment to community. I'm a member of Rotary, have been for the last couple of years, 2.5 years. This year, a couple of significant things. I took part in my first Oceania Rotary Conference, which was absolutely incredible. It was great to be with so many people who shared the vision of service beyond self, commitment to justice, peacemaking, and connection. So that was a real learning to have 2 or 3 days with Rotarians from all over Oceania. And our little local club, the Bruce Pride Rotary Club, we're the first LGBTIQA plus club in the Southern Hemisphere. Last month, we presented a fundraising check to Queensland Communities for LGBTIQA Health, one of our fundraising efforts through the years. I was really proud to promote and encourage in the club. Rotary has also given me a connection to one of my passions for peacemaking. And this is one of the many Zoom calls that I had through the year with organisations and communities. And this one was with Rotary, our Peace Network, a global connection of peacemaking, commitment. And you may know or be aware of the Rotary Peace Polls in public places around Australia. I suggest you go and have a look them up and see if there's a peace poll near your community that you might like to photograph and share the message. Those peace polls are incredible symbols of community commitment to peacemaking. One of the great highlights of the year was working with Dr. Catherine Barrett from Celebrate Aging on a campaign called Old is Beautiful. And this was a campaign addressing ageism in the community. A group of us from Brisbane took part in a workshop. And as part of that workshop, we did some video recordings, a lot of photography, celebrating age, what it means to celebrate being an older person. So a bit of media coverage there. I am the March feature person on the Queensland Seniors calendar this year. So the conversation about addressing ageism continues, and this has been opened a whole new door for me of awareness about ageism, and also given me an avenue to do education and conversations in the community about how we can honour older people and respect older people beyond the prejudice and fear of ageism. I had a couple of projects supporting people with a lived experience of disability through the year, working with a national body through the Australian Catholic Bishops' Conference, beginning a program of listening in local communities to our sisters and brothers living with disability. And also here in Queensland, I took part in a program called I Exist. It's a promotional program about living with disability and telling our story of encounter, lifestyle, and how our presence builds community. Politics continues to be a significant part, and political protest in its various forms is something I've had a lifelong passion for. So standing there with Martin Arnold from the Ukrainian community, during the year I picked up this campaign, Readers and Writers Against Genocide, supported by a number of literary groups. I got a t-shirt from Avid Reader here in West End, and there was my young mate Sam. One of the things I'm interested and keen about is how do we mentor the next generation into political activism, into awareness of social change and the diverse ways of engaging in democratic policies and protest. On the left with Gary Stone. Gary is the Veterans Chaplain here in Queensland, doing amazing work. It was an honour to walk with Gary in a march supporting the people of Palestine. I also took part, as is usually each year, in Multicultural Australia's Lantern Parade, celebrating cultural diversity of the community. And this year, at the end of the parade, I met up with a group of young students from Marist College, Ashgrove, and we had a great conversation about their commitment and solidarity with the people of Palestine. So it was really wonderful to be able to engage with the next generation about these issues. I believe in lifelong learning. I do it in all sorts of ways, through my Zoom conversations, readings, etc. But this year I also had an opportunity to take part in a summer school of theology, which was conducted in Kiev in the Ukraine. Now, what made this special was some of the participants from Kiev were in a war zone, and we were told that the possibility was that they would drop out because of drone or war activity around them. That was quite an experience to be so close to people in a war zone. This series of lectures was really amazing. It was World with Broken Borders, Theological Perspectives on Displacement and Diasporas. And it was really good to learn from an Eastern European background and experience. So it was challenging too, because all the lectures began at 2 a.m. But it was, again, a wonderful connection I now have with the East European Institute of Theology, an ongoing relationship with that community as part of my lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is also about participating and connecting to organisations that nurture my passion and provide me opportunities to engage in activism, education, and also provide me with material as a content creator online to share significant messages about these community organisations in which I hold membership. I also, as I said, a content creator. I've been playing with AI. This year's 2 of the AI-created images from photos. A bit of fun. I'm using them as profile pics. I work across Instagram and Facebook. And again, a diverse audience across both those platforms, not necessarily the same audience. And I love the way Instagram is image-driven. I also work and write across these platforms. You may be familiar that Substack and Blue Sky are 2 of the newer platforms that have emerged, particularly as Twitter, or X, has become problematic in so many ways. I no longer post on Twitter or X, but I'm using each of these, and Flickr is a photo storage platform that I use for documenting my photography and archiving my work, and that takes up a considerable amount of my time now, archiving up to 30,000 images that I've taken over so many years. My wish for this Christmas season coming to an end as we get to the end of these 12 days, may the ancient story of a child born in occupied territory open our hearts to the work of defending human rights. May the image of a family forced to seek refuge and asylum far from their home inform our political choices as citizens of a global village. May our messages of good wishes and happy holidays not blind us to the work of justice-making and non-violence. May the lights and decorations of the season remind us of our mission to bring light to the darkness and celebration to life. May our gifting be generous as we remember those who live in situations of poverty and exploitation. May the birth of every child call us to our communal responsibility to protect children, to take them on wild adventures, and let them grow into the unique person they are called to be. May we join the angelic voices singing our dream of peace on earth. So, that was the last 12 months, a bit of an overview. If there's anything there that interests you, I'm sure you'll find it online through content I've created. Just doing a search of Tony Robertson and then fill in whatever else you're looking for. Thanks for viewing. I invite your response. One of the things about social media is people don't really seem to be committed to the social dimension. It's likes, comments are so important. The value of social media is our commitment to communication, to information that's accurate and true, and also conversations that are civil. So I welcome you to this new year. Look forward to the journey together, and I'll be doing regular Tony Talks, and I hope you can join me for them. Have a great year and every blessing for the Christmas season.